Okay. Fine. Okay. Hello. Good evening, everyone. My name is Emmanuel from Soft Landings UK, and this evening we're talking about the steps to renting a property in the UK. It's a bit of a continuation from last week's live broadcast. I think we ended, and there were still a lot of questions coming in. So if you do have a question, kindly send it through, and we'll try to get through to it today. We take questions on anything to do with property in the UK, steps to renting, what it takes, what your requirements would be, what your expectations are. Something that's happened quite recently is we're noticing what people expect of properties here is not, doesn't align with the actual facts on ground. So a lot of people are coming from Nigeria and thinking they will get a mansion in the UK, or you'll get some massive house like you have in Nigeria. And for those who are here already, they can let you in on, it's not a secret, it's quite obvious. UK houses are really tiny. So it's just helping people manage their expectations, if we could put it like that. Don't expect that you're coming to a massive house and you have 3 rooms or 4 rooms. You even have 1 guest room, BQ, room for houseboy, house girl. You're coming to the UK. Everything you've heard about the UK is true. So, we get very funny comments. I think we put up a property yesterday and the prevailing comment was, oh, it's so small, it's so tiny. When I tell you, the couple that moved in that property, they were in temporary housing for over a month and they were paying close to £600 every week. So when you get here, it gets to a point where you're just happy to get into something. There's so much competition out there. We say it every week. We let people know what they're expecting, but I think it's hard to align these, these different views. And until you get here, especially for those who are not here, you don't really have a good understanding of what's going on here. So yes, I want to start taking questions a bit earlier this week. I normally have a monologue for about 20 minutes and then we get onto the questions. But I think this week, we won't dwell too much on talking. We'll just get straight into it. So if you do have a question, please send it through now on Instagram, on YouTube. The link is on the bio for the YouTube. We can put your questions up on screen. You can get our contacts all on there. And just while we're waiting for any questions to come in, I'll go briefly over the stuff we do every week, the regular stuff. Keep reminding people, there's people new to the channel as well. We'll keep telling you what to expect. As you know me on this channel, we deal with facts only. We don't give you a false idea of what's to expect in the UK. We tell you the plain truth and nothing but the truth. So, okay, first thing we're going to speak about is guarantors. Now, it's important you do have someone in the UK to stand for you as a guarantor. The fact that you're new to renting in the UK is something that does not put a lot of confidence in a landlord to give you their home, most people, their houses are their most precious investments. It's their retirement plan. People struggle, have a home, put it down there and rent it out. So they really don't want someone who will come around and not pay rent or give them some sort of issues. And this is why they demand a guarantor. Now, guarantors are of 2 types. Some properties where it's a stricter, they will require somebody who is a UK homeowner to stand as your guarantor. If you come across one of these homes in your search, my best advice for you is to keep searching, because it's very rare that someone who has a home, unless they're a direct relative to yourself, would want to put their home on the line, because that's essentially what it is. If you do not pay your rent, or you stop paying bills, or you leave debts on that house, even after you've moved out, the landlord has the option to go after your guarantor to try and clear any sort of bills or debts that have been left. So, people pay mortgages here in the UK. It's not a situation where you just buy a house cash. And sometimes people have been paying their mortgage for 10 years, 20 years. They can't go on holidays because this is why you see when people visit Nigeria, they breeze in for 2-3 weeks and they're gone. You rarely see people come and visit in Nigeria and stay 2-3 months because what are they doing? They have a mortgage to pay over here. They have to get back to work. So yeah, the point being, if you there are some areas we're finding, like in Cardiff, a lot of times they want a homeowner guarantor, which is a really hard thing to swing. So I would say just keep searching for one. The more common type of guarantor that is required is a financial guarantor. So the person doesn't need to be a UK citizen or own a home. They just need to be earning 3 times of the monthly rent. And that is the same requirement for yourself for renting. You will need to be earning 3 times of the monthly rent before they will comfortably give you a home. That doesn't have to be down to one person in the household. That's between yourself and your partner. So all adults in the home should be earning 3 times of the monthly rent. So if you're renting a house, for instance, of £1,000 a month, between yourself and your partner, you should be earning 3,500. One person can be earning 2,000, one person 1,000. And that moves us on to proof of income from guarantors. You know, this is where a lot of students coming from Nigeria tend to have issues. And we get this question every day. How do I prove income? I've just come in, I don't have a job yet, or my partner is coming after me. So yes, that is generally the biggest thing. I mean, we've advised in the past, you can pay advance rent. So to prove, you can pay between 3 months, 6 months, 12 months of advance rent, depending on what you have. In some areas, they won't accept 3 months anymore. They would need you to have a minimum of 6 months. Some areas are requesting 12. So it just depends on the landlord. Something that tends to happen in the comments and in the questions is people ask us everything, and that's why we're doing this show. It sounds like, oh, there's these steps, I just do this, that, and I get it. No, when you're renting a house, you're dealing with human beings like yourself. You're dealing with landlords, you're dealing with estate agents. The rules differ. There's general guidelines like what is a guarantor, what is advance rent, what is proof of income. Those are general issues. But in terms of how each landlord would deal with you, everybody is different. So someone who might accept 3 months might not accept 6 months. So it just goes, depends on who you find and what they are ready to put up with. So that's advance rent. And yes, we started to get some questions coming in. So I will come back to this, but we'll just see. So we've got Lillian on YouTube. Hi, Lillian. You're here every week. Thanks for joining the show again. And you put in a few questions. Do I need to pay an advance fee when renting a room in a shared apartment? Okay, so that's a very good question. With shared apartments, a lot of the time, the requirements are not as strict as renting a flat. When you're renting a flat, the requirements are quite tough, very strict. What you need to provide. When you're renting a room, usually it's either the landlord is renting a room in there or somebody has gotten a flat, they have a spare room and they want to rent out that room. So usually you can work things out, you know, depending on who you meet, you can, you know, come around 1 or 2 things. So your question is saying, do you need to pay an advance fee? What I'd be asking is, who are you paying this fee to? Is it the person who helps you secure the place, or do you mean to the person you're moving in with? So usually you won't pay an advance fee. I mean, if you use a service like ours, we do charge you to find you a room. So if that's what you mean, then yes, there's a fee for our service. But in terms of to the landlord or estate agent, if you're renting a single room, usually all you are required to pay is 1 month rent and 1 month advance security deposit. I mean to say 1 month's rent in advance and 1 month of a security deposit. So rooms are usually much easier to secure. I mean, we are finding a few where because you are a student, they might ask you to pay 3 months in advance just because you don't have proof of income yet. That is a possibility, but not in every case. So if you just clarify what fee you are talking about, then okay, so you've come back with the landlord. Okay, so you don't pay a fee. Landlords are not allowed to charge fees. So you wouldn't, even estate agents don't really charge fees as such. It's just there's a lot of competition. So you try and increase your bid. That's why people pay 3 months in advance. It's not a fee, but you're paying your rent a lot more. So the landlord is getting a lot more money at once in that sense. So you wouldn't normally need to pay the landlord a fee unless you're paying a service like us to find you a place. So we're doing the running around for you. Maybe that, but not to the landlord, definitely not. They will just be collecting their rent. So that's part of the law in the UK. They're not allowed to charge you fees. Estate agents and landlords are not allowed to charge you fees. I mean, estate agent charges their fees to the landlord, so the landlord pays the estate agent. So it's so that the tenant doesn't have to pay, because in the past there used to be so many fees you would have to pay before you could move in, and on top of your rent you may end up paying like 500-600 in fees, check-in fees, fee for inventory, fee for this, fee for that. So that has all been sort of taken off. So if it's a registered estate agent, you wouldn't need to pay a fee. Okay, and you've got another question there. Is it possible to rent 2 rooms in a shared apartment for a family of 4? Now, that's a very tricky one. First of all, most landlords, private landlords, estate agents, will not rent rooms to families in shared apartments. If you've been following, you might see we have a Telegram group. And what we are encouraging people to do is to meet each other before arriving in the UK, rent a place together, and then share it. Because if you went directly to, beg your pardon, to the landlord and said 2 families, I mean, first of all, most landlords, like I said, they want to protect their home. They would see it that that's too many people moving into the home, 2 distinct families. You know, and rooms generally, like we've spoken about on this channel, are rented to single people. You might be lucky if you find a room on the market, they might take couples. They would definitely not give you a shared apartment room with a child. 100%, you won't get that, because they will expect you to be renting your own flat. So what we're trying to do is encourage people to take a bigger house, maybe a 4-bedroom, for instance, and then 2 families can share that, 2 smaller families. So it might be a couple, and this family has 1 child, you know, so the couple is in 1 bedroom, their child is in 1, or 2 children in 1, and then, you know, it's 4 bedrooms. The other couple is in 1 bedroom, and their children are in 1. The limits will be 1 or 2 children. So if you've got 2 smaller families, you can combine and take a bigger house. It reduces the burden. That's one, you know, as opposed to both of you searching, you know, all these fees you pay, all this other stuff, it's all consolidated into one. So that's what we're suggesting people to do. So we do have a Telegram group to help with that, and you can find ideal people, meet up with them beforehand, have discussions. The worst thing about renting rooms in shared apartments is generally you don't know who you're renting with, and that's the problem of renting rooms. So I know I've said rooms are easier to get than flats. But what you will get a lot with rooms is the people who already live there want to vet you quite a lot, because they're going to be quite intimate with you. They're sharing a kitchen, they might be sharing a bathroom. They want to know who they're sharing with as much as they can. So there's a lot of questions, there's a lot of that sort of back and forth. So yes, it will be quite difficult to go on the open market, Lillian, and find 2 rooms in a house and say, oh, we want a family of 4 to stay there. It will be almost impossible. But if you find, you know, a house where you can share with another family, then, you know, you've agreed all these little details beforehand. Okay, so I'm just going to go to Instagram a bit because we don't have any other questions on YouTube. Hello, everyone that's joined. Thank you so much for joining the broadcast. If you do have a question, please put it in. Hi, Funlolafa. Good evening. Yes, you're always here with us. Thank you so much for joining the broadcast. Would a landlord allow a single mom with an 11-year-old boy into a 1-bedroom flat, or must it be 2 bedrooms? I think at 11, yes, it will probably be 2 bedrooms. It will be quite rare that the landlord will knowingly, you know, rent that. They're quite strict on these things in the UK. I mean, a lot of stuff that is not really looked at in Nigeria or actually scrutinized here. I find it myself. Sometimes people come to us and then we have a sort of questionnaire we send out to you. And it's for us to ascertain things that the landlord will be asking us. And people are very reluctant with this information a lot of time when we say how many children under 5, how many adults, how many this. It's just like, oh, why are they asking me all these questions? In Nigeria, you just go to rent a house, you just tell them, oh, it's me and my family. And, in the end, you can bring 5 people over from the village to come and stay. It's your house you've paid. Here it's quite different. They want to know every single person that's in there, including children, these sort of things, their ages. These are things you will fill on form, date of birth of your children. So I'm just saying all of this so you know what to expect. You can't be very conservative with this information. They're going to ask you. And I've had a case recently in the last week or two where a family was evicted from temporary accommodation because they had lied about the people that will stay there. So it's important that you're quite open about what you are doing or what you do intend to do. I mean, some things you can probably get away with, if you've got 3 children, they expect you to say there's 3 children there. They want to know the ages. They want to know what rooms these children will be in. So you have to be quite careful and give as much information as you can. I think in that situation, just to answer your question, Funolafa, you will not be allowed. Most landlords will not allow an 11-year-old in a 1-bedroom with the mom. Okay. You've come back again. Compare Luton, MK, Bedford as per accommodation opportunities ease with transfer. I think I've answered this question 3 times, 3 weeks in a row. I think I've given you this answer quite a few times. It's in terms of the bigger city, Luton and Milton Keynes are bigger than Bedford. So all the things you speak about are easier there. The only thing where Bedford will win will be in terms of accommodation. There's less pressure there compared to the others. So hopefully that helps. ID20 Noble, awesome nuggets. Thank you so much, ID20. Thanks for joining. And you followed up with, is it a must someone gets to the UK to secure a place? Okay, so that's another question we deal with quite a lot on the show. In terms of permanent accommodation, I think I went over this quite a lot last week as well. It's very likely in 9 out of 10 cases, 9.5, you will have to be here to secure your permanent residence. The only exceptions to that could be in Wales. So Wales is not part of England. We've got Great Britain, United Kingdom. UK is the larger governing body, UK, but that's consistent of 4 countries, 4 distinct countries. We've got England, we've got Wales, we've got Scotland and Northern Ireland. They are all different countries. As much as you're coming to United Kingdom and that's a country, it is split into 4 smaller countries. Now, the rules, and when you come here, you will find this, the laws. Certain things happen in Scotland that don't happen in England. Certain things happen in Wales that don't happen in England. Certain things are available in certain regions that are not. The governing law, the main important thing that means if you are in England, you probably need to be here because you have to fill out right to rent. So you have to fill out your right to rent. This is just you going on the government website, filling out with either your passport page or your BRP. It doesn't work a lot with Nigerian passports, so I just advise people it will be your BRP, your biometric card. You do not get that card till you arrive here. So when you arrive here, a day or 2 later, you get your biometric card from the post office, and then you can fill it out. Just having a visa or a passport in England does not qualify you to rent a home in most cases. You still need to complete your right to rent. The same way when you come to England, you need to get your right to work, which is called your NI card. It's the same way you need to get a right to rent thing filled out. Just a bit of history why that is done is in the past, it was not a requirement for the landlord to know who he was renting to. So all these things that you see in the property market here and we're trying to explain is as a result of things that have gone on in the past. And this is linked to terrorism, crime a few years ago when, the whole Al-Qaeda, ISIS thing was going on. I'd say 15, 20 years ago now. It used to be a time you could live in England, just go to an estate agent. You don't need to prove much to them. You can show them your driving license as proof of ID, and you can rent a home. That doesn't happen anymore because there were sales of people. Well, I don't know how true that is, but this is where it came from. That landlords need to know who they are renting to. So this is why it's hard for you to be in a different country and suddenly be renting. That's just one of the reasons. Right to rent in England is one of the reasons. Now, right to rent doesn't operate in Scotland, Wales, or Northern Ireland. So if you are in one of those territories, you might have a better chance of renting from Nigeria. The other thing that is really important to take note of when people ask this question is I always turn it back on you and say, you are in Nigeria now. How many homes have you rented without the landlord meeting you? It's something you have to think about. And some of us come in as landlords as well. A lot of you have houses, you might have invested in a short let, things around that sort of thing. Would you rent to someone you haven't seen or you don't know? It's very unlikely. So that's it. Landlords here want to get to meet you. They want to know, okay, the person I said is coming with 2 children. Let us actually see this person. They're saying this, they're saying that. They want to have a conversation with you. They want to know what sort of person you are, what job you do. These are things that are not really possible over a video call. I mean, some cases they will do a video call and they would call you. But, that's just another reason the landlord wants to meet you. And then the third reason is the level of competition. Like I keep telling people every week, there is a lot of competition. People who have already arrived from Nigeria 2 months ago, 3 months ago are still searching. They haven't found. How much less you that is in Nigeria. You are not available to go to viewings. Some viewings, I had a gentleman today, he's looking in Portsmouth. He was asked to make a holding deposit. For one reason or the other, he wasn't able to get to the viewing soon enough. He sent his partner. And when he got there was somebody else viewing. So he thought he had secured this for himself. Got there, the landlord is saying no, this and that. So he gets to a point where the landlord is judging, who do I want to give it to? I've told people several times, the landlord is the one in control here. They get to choose you. You don't get to choose the house you go to. You may view 5, 10 houses. It doesn't mean because you viewed it, you will get it. It doesn't mean because you have the money to afford it, you will get it. At the end of the day, what is important is the landlord choosing to give their house to you. And there's a process to go through. So there is so many steps and hoops in this, hoops to jump through, steps to go through. The chances of you getting it from Nigeria are really, really slim. I like to give people the facts, the truth. I won't tell you, pay our service charge, we'll get you a house in 2 days from Nigeria. It's just setting you up for failure. So I like to let people know exactly what it is. ID20 Noble. If you're coming to England, it is more or less a must. You must be here to get a property because there's so much competition on the market. You're very unlikely to get it there. We advise people to book a temporary place for between 2 weeks to 1 month. Make sure you have sorted Airbnb. On the question of Airbnb, I had someone who made an inquiry last week, a very good follower of the channel. She's always here. She might be on here. And she asked, check a place for me. I'm going to share with someone else. We put in all the details there. There were going to be 4 adults, about 4 children. We found a nice place. She said she wants to consult with the other family just to see if they would like it as well, show them the pictures, that sort of thing. They came back the next day and said they were ready. The house is gone. So we keep telling people, book. England, UK rewards you for doing things faster. You don't have a lot of time to dilly-dally, think about it. You are coming to a totally different system. Everything is like that in England. And I see sometimes people ask us, what's the price of temporary accommodation? We send you the pictures. We tell you what is there. 3 hours later, that house might no longer be available. And one thing that happens, trust me, if you ask me for a price, I've said this on this channel before, I will always give you the cheapest price. And that's what happens. I tell people, it's going to be £100 a night. They say, it's too much. Find me something cheaper. I say, okay, I found you the cheapest. I don't really know where we go from here. And I go quiet. They go and make inquiries. Maybe they contact a family member, this and that. You can't get anything cheaper. Then they come back. And what I found for you is gone. So don't ever think I'm trying to cheat you out of, it's not in my nature. We will tell you how much it is, what we're adding on as a charge. And the reason we help people with temporary bookings is we're hoping that from us helping you from your temporary, we'll be there for you for your permanent one, because that's where we actually charge you a fee. So it's never about trying to make money off you. Or, I will see, I don't know these landlords, for temporary accommodation. So if the landlord is charging £50 a night or £100 a night, I will tell you what they're charging per night. It doesn't suit me, or I don't know this landlord. So why would I choose a more expensive property to give you? The point of my channel, the point of me being here is to help you as much as possible. That's why we set up the Telegram group for people to share. I know temporary accommodation is really expensive, but please do not dilly-dally. I have been telling people, if you know your dates and you're coming in May, you're coming in June, you're coming in September, book it now if you know the dates. The only reason why you should not be making a booking is that you don't know your travel dates yet. Don't sit there with the tickets in your hand thinking, oh, I'll do it next week, I'll do it in 2 weeks' time, I'll do it in 3 weeks' time. Because the closer it comes to the date, remember, UK is open to the whole world. It's not only Nigerians that come here. I say this all the time. People come from India, people come from all others, and everybody is looking for that cheapest place. So that place you found that was cheap and you were thinking, oh, I'll go think about it for 3 days, someone will snap it up in no time. The Airbnb market right now is something like someone put a match to it. I have never seen the prices so high. I have never seen it going the way it's going now. So please, if you have the opportunity and don't wait till 3 days before your flight to be booking temporary accommodation. Honestly, you will pay over the odds. It's just really sad when someone asks me for a price. And like I said, this lady who is always on this channel, she asked me last week. They didn't come back to me till quite late at night. I think I'd gone to bed. The next morning, she said, do it for us. And I went on there, it was gone. And the next thing is £10 expensive. So it was like from £100 to 120 or 110 to 120, something like that. So you will end up paying much more just for dilly-dallying. Okay, I do beg your pardon. So yes, on YouTube, we got a question there. Millicent Idahosa, hello. I'm seeing you on here for the first time, I think. And that's a lovely smile on your profile pic. Okay, so you say, I want a 2-bedroom in Shrewsbury, Shropshire. Okay, so I think you are new to the channel. It's great you want a 2-bedroom. What do you want to know? Do you want to know the prices? Do you just want it? Because we all want things. I know you want one. But if you've been here for the last few minutes, I've explained why it's not possible for us to get that while you're still in Nigeria. So are you here already? Are you in temporary accommodation? So what the kind of questions I take on this show is enlighten you on certain areas. If you need information, sometimes people are trying to get, care jobs. They're applying for different jobs over here and they have options. They might say, oh, there's a care job in Birmingham and there's a care job in London. And then people come and ask, what is better for me? What will be cheaper for me? What type of schools are there for my... So those are the kind of questions we take. If you have a request for a property and you're sure you want to move ahead and you're already in the UK, you can send us a message. So you've come back with a follow-up. Thank you. So you are watching, you are there. You say, I want it. I'm here already. Okay, great. So if you're here already, you might already have an idea of what the prices are there. You might already be searching. This is not one I can't turn around and give you one on the program here. So I would advise you, you are currently in an Airbnb, you are saying as well. Okay, that's fine. And that is a lot of pressure once you're here because the money of the Airbnbs is a bit ridiculous every week, I mean to say. Please send us a message after the show and we can get into details of what sort of searches we do. I'm sure we can help you. We are able to help, between 80 to 90% of people who approach us. And that's why you'll see all the sort of properties we get for people on the channel. We don't even put up half of them because some people don't want their stuff on there, but people who do grant us permission to post their properties. In most cases, we can nail down the reason why you aren't getting a place. And that's what we help to do, really. A lot of people like to come and say, oh, I'll do the search myself, I'll do it myself. It's not as easy as Nigeria. A lot of times you're doing things wrong and you don't even realize it. So that's where we come in. We help you fine-tune your search. We help you improve your bids to landlords. We can also help you search as well. There's a whole raft of things we can do. So I wish I had a 2-bedroom to give you right away, but I do not. So please send us a message, a DM. We'll definitely get back to you at some point tomorrow, and we can go into more details about your requirements, what you actually want, and what we can do for you. All right. But thank you so much for joining the show. I always like to see new faces, questions from new people. That is always a brilliant thing. Okay, so we've got Lillian. You've come back with another question. Will an employer pay you if you just have the temporary NI number, or your NI number has to come out first before you can be paid your wages? You always come out with brilliant questions, Lillian. That is a very, very good question. So for those who missed it a few weeks ago, and if you are watching on YouTube, I'm just going to try and put this on the screen for you. So if you're watching on Instagram and you want to see everything we're doing, please go on the link on the bio. There's a link to the YouTube broadcast, and you can see all the stuff I put on the screen much easier. Okay, so I've just put something on the screen on YouTube. That is the format for a temporary NI number. So when you come, you have to apply for your NI number. That's what you can use to apply for jobs. It's linked to your tax account. So when they take out taxes from your pay, it's linked to that account. So that's what an NI number is, a national insurance number. So that's what it actually is, national insurance number. It's comparable to a social security number in America. That's probably the closest thing I can compare it to. But yes, if you do not yet have, and it does take, when you come and you apply for an NI number, it takes about 3 to 6 weeks for them to get it out to you, to post it back to you. Sometimes there's a backlog. It can take as much as that or a little bit longer. In the interim, don't sit there and just say, I'm not going to apply for jobs till I get my NI number. As long as you are here and your visa gives you the right to work, you can already start searching for jobs. If you're a student, you have the right to work 20 hours a week. So you can start looking for part-time jobs, gig jobs where you don't have a fixed contract, but you do little shifts here and there. So the format of a temporary NI number is T for Tango, N for November. So you write TN, and that means temporary number. And then after that, you give the date of your birth. So if you were born on the 1st of June, 1980, it would be 010680. So in 6 digits, you give your date of birth in 6 digits, date, month, year. And at the end of that TN, date, month, year, you put an A at the end. So that's your temporary NI number. So you can use that on job applications, because every job application you come across is going to ask for your NI number. Obviously, it's still being processed. You don't have it yet. This is what you put in the form just to get past that stage. And just coming back to your question, Lillian, your question is about the temporary NI number. So with the temporary NI, you still get paid. The only problem with it, and why you need to update it as soon as you get it and you're in employment, is they take a lot more tax. Because those digits, you know where the TN is, when you get your permanent one, it might say SC. And then at the end, it might say a different letter. So depending on your age, depending on your circumstances, like families with children may pay a little bit less tax than single people, younger people. So there's all different types of tax brackets. When you're on a temporary number, they're just making an estimate of what you should pay. They don't know the exact amount. They're still processing it. Your employer doesn't know how much to give the government, because the government has not given you a tax code. So what comes with your temporary number is a tax code as well to your employer to say this is the amount to deduct. So when you're using a temporary number, you are probably getting deducted a little bit more than you should. And that's why you want to update it. But in terms of payment, they will still pay you The good thing before, in the past, when we just arrived here, what used to happen is at the end of the year, if you've been doing a lot of overtime and they've been estimating your tax, or you've been using a temporary NI number for like 2-3 months, at the end of the tax year, you would apply to the tax office and they will recalculate your tax. And if you've paid anything more, they will refund it for you. So you might get a nice little check for £500 or £1,000 of tax you paid too much. In the last few 5-6 years, that doesn't happen as much. What happens is they calculate it automatically, and if you've overpaid, then 1 or 2 months later you will pay less, so they will charge you less tax, and that way they've refunded the money to you. So for those just joining on YouTube, I put the format of the temporary NI back on the screen. So it's TN, the day, month, and then the year of your birth, and A at the end. So that's what you need to start applying for work straight away. Apply for your NI number as soon as you come, as soon as you have an address, Airbnb, whatever it is, apply, get it sent to you there. One thing to be careful with as well is when you are applying for stuff, because I know a lot of people stay in Airbnb for a while, so you put your bank details there. Maybe you open a Monzo account or your first account, you put it there, your NI number, you apply for it there. Make sure as soon as you get your permanent accommodation, everything that you have posted to that temporary place, change it to your place. Remember, these are personal details. It's very easy for hackers, scammers in the UK. You know, imagine you are sending a lot of letters to an Airbnb, and an Airbnb, there might be visitors coming in and out of there every week. Trust me, it's not only foreigners that use Airbnb. There are people who are here, they may go from one city to another and they rent an Airbnb and they go in the letterbox, they see all these personal details with your date of birth, your this, that. They can go and apply for things on your name. So your name is really precious in this country. Don't let people have your name, your address, your bank details, just like that. So as soon as you move, make sure you change everything over. But just to go back to Lillian's question, I hope I've answered that in a lot of detail. When I get these questions, I like to tell you everything related to that as well, not just your answer. So I'll go over your question again. Will an employer pay you if you have just the temporary NI, or your NI number has to come out first before you can be paid? So they will pay you. The only problem is you will be paying a lot of tax on the temporary number. But that tax will be refunded to you once you get your full number. So as soon as you get the card, you give it to your employer. You say, oh, I've got my, beg your pardon, my proper number now. And they make adjustments. So it will take a week, a month or two for you to see that change. Okay, so I hope that helps. We've got Gina TV. Hi, Gina. You said, is payment on Airbnb, is it per night, or how is the payment made? So yes. What you will find is they charge you per night. That's what Airbnbs charge. They charge per night. But what happens is if you are staying a bit longer, if you're staying over a week or over 2 weeks or over a month, you tend to get a little bit of a discount for a long stay. It might only be £20 or £10 or something, but they discount it a bit. So then they will calculate it as a monthly payment instead of per day, and they will just give you the total. Also, another thing to be wary of on Airbnb is sometimes people ask us how much is it per night for Airbnb, and we tell you, oh, it's coming up as £50. You may still pay a little bit more than that £50 because Airbnb charge their own commission at times, and some, not all, charge for a cleaning fee. So when you leave, they charge for them to clean the apartment. So they may charge £30 for that, £50, some are up to £100. So yes, in general, they are charged per night. But when you ask us, we will always give you the total price. If you want it for 2 weeks, if you want it for a month, we would normally give you a total price, including Airbnb charges. So it might differ slightly from the nightly rate. I hope that helps, Gina. So we've got Olamide Olateju Ibrahim. Is it easy to get a 1-bedroom apartment for a couple in Belfast, UK? Well, first part, 1-bedroom apartment for a couple is beautiful because you can get that. That should not be an issue. You don't have an issue of overcrowding or having too many people in there if you've got no kids. So you should be fine on that end. In terms of Belfast, you should be able, it's not as bad as England. We're finding out of every sort of 20 people, only 1 or 2 are going to Northern Ireland. So the pressure compared to England and Wales is not as bad yet. Even Scotland is a bit more pressure than Northern Ireland. Northern Ireland is part of the UK, but it's one of the remote parts, You'll find you go on websites, you want to order something, they'll say, oh, we don't deliver to Northern Ireland, we don't do this. So they have their whole sort of different system going on over there because they're more or less sort of closer to the EU as well after Brexit. So there's all these other factors in there, but you should be fine. One positive for you is there's less pressure. It's cheaper as well. I think I was looking there for someone a few weeks ago, and you can expect to pay anywhere between 650 to about £800 per month. Now, compare that to London, where 1 bedroom is going for between 1,300 to 1,500 now. You can see there's a huge difference. You're paying like three times less. So in that sense, you are in good stead. Okay, Olamide, hope that helps. We've got Judith Oregi. Hi, Judith. I think it's first time we're seeing you on the channel. Thank you for joining. Your question, can a family of 4 get a shared accommodation in Birmingham? I think I've answered this in a roundabout way a bit earlier, where someone asked for 2 rooms in a shared accommodation. For a family of 4, you cannot go to an estate agent or go on the website for shared accommodation and say we are a family of 4. They will not allow it. You cannot. Shared accommodation is targeting single people, at the most couples. As soon as there's children involved, they don't want you in shared accommodation. Now, Judith, I don't know how long you've been following the channel. We have a Telegram group set up. You can search for us on Telegram. If you go on our bio on Instagram or anywhere, there's a link directly to the Telegram group there. And we've set that up specifically to help families who want to share accommodation. So if there's 2 families, 2 small families, family of 4, maybe you see another family of 3, and you want to rent a 4-bedroom together, and then you can both agree to share it. But if you just go now by yourself on the open market and say, oh, there's 4 of us, we want to rent 1 room in your house or 2 rooms, it's very unlikely. It's very, very unlikely. In fact, the chances of it are less than 0. No landlord will accept that. But if you find yourself together and you come as a unit, rent 1 house together and say, okay, there's 4 adults, there's 3 children, we want to rent a 4-bedroom, that has more chances of working. And that's what we're trying to help people do with the Telegram group. So if you're not yet on the Telegram group and you're hoping to share a property, go in there, put in a short message, just say where you are going and, maybe the size of your family. And I'm sure someone else who is going in the same area will reach out to you. We've also got a poll in there. You can fill in the poll, and then you can see a list of people who are going to the same. Once you do the poll, it shows you the results, and then you can see people who are going to the same city as you. And then you can even start messaging them privately and say, okay, oh, you're also going to Manchester, or how are you guys doing it? The whole point of the group is to encourage conversation between people going to the same direction. And maybe that might just help you. Even if it's not for permanent, even if it's for the Airbnb, like I said, in a lot of the UK now, anywhere where people are asking me to search for Airbnb, there's very few places I'm finding flats less than £100 a night. It goes up from 100, 120, some places 200 per night. When you convert that to Naira, you're talking about 170,000 Naira per night for a flat. It's a lot of money. If you can find someone to share with, it will relieve a lot of the stress and help you both. Okay, so I hope that helps, Judith. I've got Olamide has come back to say thank you. You also asked about the price estimate, but I think I answered that for you. So thanks for joining. If you have any more questions, certainly send that. We've got Gina TV. What if I rent an Airbnb for 1 month and I get an apartment in 2 weeks of arrival? With the refund of 2 weeks be left? Now, that is a beautiful question. We get that all the time. And I can totally understand where people are coming from. You think, Airbnb is a lot. Should I pay for 2 weeks? Should I pay for 1 month? I don't want to overpay and I don't want to underpay. Now, my advice would be to pay for a month. The process of renting, even though we say 2 weeks, that's for the extremely lucky people that will get a place in 2 weeks. I get this thing where when we give people estimates, Nigerians we are some of the most optimistic people on earth, and I love it. I love that we're very optimistic, but we give you a range of things so that you can actually plan. So always plan for the worst case scenario. Don't plan for the best case, because people have come before you and option 1, option 2, option 3 has not worked. And that's why you see all the stories on Instagram. So if I say you can get a place between 2 weeks and 1 month, plan for a month. I know it's expensive. This is why we're coming up with the Telegram group for people to share. This is why we're thinking of ideas, how to help people. What could happen, and what I have seen happen before, is people pay for 1 week or 2 weeks. And they say, oh, if nothing, I will pay. I started this broadcast by saying, if you can plan ahead, plan ahead. What you will find is someone will book straight after you. And I've seen this happen to a family twice. They were just like, oh, I will only pay 1 week. When the end of the week will come, they have still not found a permanent place. They will go, let me pay another week. The place is occupied. They have rented it to somebody else. So somebody is coming in the day after your own ends. Accommodation is high pressure in the UK now. I don't know how much I can say it. I don't know how, how to get it to sink in for people. Book a month if you can afford it. It will relieve some stress. The worst thing you want is after you've stayed in one place, you are still searching, or you're still going to view properties every day. Landlord is telling you, no, you searched this one, you're ready to offer. They say, no, we found somebody else, it's gone. These things happen. You will get about 5 or 6 disappointments before you get the one that you get. So you are dealing with that on one side, then your days are running out, and then when you say, okay, let me just pay this £600 and extend it, or £700, I don't want to pay it, but let me just pay it, and then they say, no, it's gone. You now have to start searching for something else. The place you may find might be 5 or 10 miles away from where you are that you can afford. You now have to pay taxi, carry your load like you are traveling again to another temporary place. I've had a family that ended up doing that 3 times. They stayed in 3 or 4 different places before they found a place, because you're thinking you want to save. At the end, you spend more. And this is why I say we're very optimistic people, but sometimes it comes back to bite us in the back. Plan yourself for a month of temporary accommodation. Now, your question is, would they refund? They do not refund. Airbnb is generally non-refundable. And I know it might feel like I'm risking it, but I promise you, the risk of you losing that 2 weeks, the risk of you not finding a place is higher than the risk of losing that 2 weeks. I promise you. So if we tell you that it will take you between 2 weeks to a month to find a place, only 10% of people are finding a place in 2 weeks. Only 10%. 80 to 90%, it takes a month. So, we're all prayerful people. We pray that God does it for you, and you're one of those 10% that gets it in 2 months. The truth is, I work on numbers. I work with figures. Most people are staying a month in temporary accommodation. It's very rare that it's happening in 2 weeks. And I will tell you 2 weeks because nothing is impossible. Some people do get it in 2 weeks, but you need 2 weeks for the process anyway. Referencing takes 1 whole week of referencing. So let's say you find a place you like now, the landlord likes you, you like the landlord. It will take you a week to complete referencing. That is 1 week out of it. Now, the first week might be for viewings. You land, you have to get your BRP card. You may land in the evening. That cannot be possible till the next day. 1 day is gone out of your Airbnb. You get the BRP card, you're feeling your right to rent. You start calling estate agents to book in things. Sometimes that calling estate agents and just trying to get viewings for you or doing it by yourself can take over a week. You will even find the house you like, you call the estate agent, and they will say, oh, we don't have any viewings till Thursday. I had the gentleman who went to view today. That viewing was booked Tuesday last week. So it's not going to move on your own speed, and your Airbnb will be counting. You will be under pressure. Ask people that are here already. You'll be saying, can't I view today? They don't have the time. They are fully booked. They will tell you can't view for the next 2 or 3 days. So don't put yourself under extra pressure. Pay the 1 month if you can. it will be more advisable that even if by mistake you lose 1 week, maybe you end up finding in 3 weeks or 3.5 weeks or something, it will still be cheaper for you than you take the gamble of paying 2 weeks. You don't get it in 2 weeks. You have to find another place under pressure that might be more expensive than what you found, but you will have no option then. You will just have to take what is available. The cost of moving your luggage, you can't just jump on a bus with 2 children and 5 bags. You're going to pay taxi now. You may pay 60, 70 pounds, depending on where you are for a taxi. You can't take a normal car taxi. You will need a big MPV. The cost will add up. Honestly, I advise people, if you can afford it, just book a month. And then from there, review. See where you are after that 1 month, and then review if you need further. There's people that stay in temporary for 2 months. But to just say, oh, I'll take a gamble and pay 1 week. I see people do it all the time. I don't argue with them. You know, your pocket is your pocket. I can't tell you what to do. But my advice will be, if you can afford it, go for 1 month straight away. Every part of England now is under a lot of pressure. There's a lot of disappointment in this searching game. Most people we find houses for, they view an average of 4 to 6 houses before they find one that will accept them. It's not going to happen in 1 day. It takes weeks. It takes dedication. It takes a lot of effort. So I hope that helps, Gina TV, in your planning. But obviously, these things are down to individuals. Lillian, you say, what's the average cost of rent for a 2-bedroom in Kent? How accessible is transportation from Kent into Southeast London? Very accessible. There are trains going every hour, on the hour, every 20 minutes even. Kent is as big as London, if not bigger. So it depends on what part of Kent you're speaking about, but it's very well connected. It's like talking of... how do I explain this in Nigeria? It's just the outskirts of London. Parts of Kent are now considered London. So there's a lot of people who live in Dartford, and that's Kent. And that is, in my mind, that's London, because I can drive to Dartford in 40 minutes and I can get a train there from London Bridge in 20 minutes. So it's very well connected. Kent is almost like London, and you benefit from a bit cheaper prices. All right. Okay. And you wanted a 2-bedroom. So 2 bedrooms, you'll be looking anywhere for rent, anywhere between 1,200 to about 1,500, depending on the part of Kent. So like I said, it's a very big area. It's like saying how much is rent in London. It depends on the postcode. There are parts that are more expensive than others. But yeah, Kent is much cheaper. So I'll come back to Instagram for a little bit. We've got Lemsey. Is it easy to get 1 bedroom? Okay, I think I've answered that on YouTube. So thank you for switching over. If you do have a question and you go on YouTube, I will answer you so much faster. So Instagram people love Instagram, but it's so much difficult because we can't put the question on the screen. A lot of people will watch this back. We only record the replay on YouTube. And then you can get your question put on the screen and other people can learn from that. So we do prioritize YouTube. Stan Baba 1, hello, thank you for joining. You say, do you help with renting apartments in the UK? Exactly what we do. We help people overcome the difficulties of renting. So we're not an estate agent. A lot of times people will come to us and say, oh, do you have 2-bedroom here for me? We usually have a few properties where landlords give us to rent, but most times we will search for you. So we'll search for you. We help you prepare your bid. We tell you the things you are doing wrong, because we have people that have been searching here for a month, no success. And immediately they come to us, we say, oh, we just ask you 5 questions and we know what you are doing wrong already. You know, it's not magic. If you have no proof of income, you have no advance rent, and you're just going to different landlords, oh, rent to me. You're wasting your own time. So these are the things we help with, putting you through, helping you understand the UK property market, what you are doing wrong. We also help people rent. We do contact landlords on your behalf, all that sort of stuff. So we've got Fulo Lafa saying thanks again. Thank you so much for always being part of the show. And I hope your travel plans do have success with where you do choose of those locations. So we've got Stand By here again. I am new here, joining for the first time. Kindly help understand if you help with home rentals in the UK. Is that your core service? Yes, it is. Help, like I just explained, that's what we do. I do appreciate it takes time to answer on Instagram. If you can join us on YouTube, we will answer you faster. But yes, that's what we do. We help with that. Other services we provide as well as booking airport pickups, meet and greets. We help with money exchange. We help with various things. So all the difficulties of when you move over, we also help with jobs, helping with CV reviews. We can point you in the direction of what jobs you should be applying for. All this talk about NI numbers, that sort of thing. We can help with all that sort of thing as well. So we do provide quite a few services at this point. Once we have a lot of people asking for something, we generally will incorporate that if it's something we can do. So yeah, reach out to us in the DMs if you have any further questions. We'll be happy to put you through. Funlalafa, he said, do you say the landlord will want to meet everyone who is going to occupy the space? Not necessarily everyone, but they would like to know who it is. If you rent through a traditional estate agent, you will have to write down your children's details, their full names. Everyone who's going to be occupying there has to be identified. You may have to show the copies of their passport, their BRP, sort of thing. So yes, they do want to know who is living there, but it doesn't mean you're going to an interview with your whole family to sit down. Not necessarily. They might meet just yourself, but you will have to provide details of your children, your partners, your husbands, that sort of stuff if they're going to live in the house. We've got Mad TC. Hello, my friend, Soft Landing. How has it been? Love your content. Thank you so much, Mad TC, for following us. Mad TC. Okay. That's a funny name. But yes, thanks for your support. We appreciate you being here. And you requested to be in the live, but we do not take live requests to join on the show. Unfortunately, if you have a question, it will have to be typed out to us and we will read it out. So you can join us on YouTube or here on Instagram. That is fine. Okay, so we got official. I am Holadiron. How much is your service charge, if I may ask? It depends on the level of service we are providing. So we can either search for you and provide a guarantor. We can either just provide a guarantor where you search by yourself. A lot of people find the property they want and then they get to the point of renting and they ask them for a guarantor and they don't have anyone in the UK who meets the requirements for a guarantor. So at that stage, they come back to us and they say, oh, please, can you act as my guarantor? So that's cheaper. If we don't search for you, you find it yourself. All you need is a guarantor. We can help with that. We can also help with references, which you might need. So there's all different levels. I can't just give you one price. It depends if you're searching for a flat. If you want us to search and you already have a brother here who can act as your guarantor, or your sister or your auntie can be your guarantor, so you don't need guarantor and you're able to search for or you just want us to search. Flats are different from rooms. The price list is about 10 different prices. So if you want to get more information on the service charge, just send us a message. We will send you everything. We will also go over a few questions with you to determine what level of service is probably best for you. And hopefully we should be able to help you from there. So we got Mad TC back. Like I told you on YouTube the last time, I want to know how much a 1-bedroom will cost in Salford because my wife got admission in the University of Salford. So I'm going to check that quickly for you. I hope you're still there. I am aware you have sent that quite a while ago on Instagram. So you're in Manchester by the University of Salford. Now, that is a very expensive area to be going to, only because we have so many students going there. And what tends to happen is most times people go to live in the surrounding towns around Manchester because it's really expensive in Salford. So I won't lie to you. It's quite expensive. You want a 1-bedroom, so that might give some relief. Most people want to. Okay, so sorry for the delay. Let's just see what's coming up around there. Okay, so you can get anything from about 1,000, from about £1,000. There's a few for £1,000 in that range to about 1,200. So on average, that's what you will get in that area. 1,000 to 1,2. There's a few for 1,004, which are very nice, brand new buildings. But on average, you want to start around 1,000, 1,1, 1,2. So Mad TC, hope that helps. I beg your pardon. Okay, so we got Lillian on YouTube, and you've come with a follow-up. Thank you for providing a bit more detail. So you say Chatham and Dover. So you see Dover is about an hour's drive away, and Chatham is a bit closer. So it's good when the more detail you have, we'll normally ask you what postcode you are looking in, so we can narrow it down, because everywhere is different. Okay, and you want a 2-bedroom. So we'll check Dover for you first. Dover is the border. Let's say you're going to France and you want to go on the ferry. You can drive to France. You drive onto a boat. The boat takes you across. You come off of the ferry on the other side. You can also take a train to France, and it goes on the Channel Tunnel under. But Dover, the important thing, I like to talk too much, don't worry. The important thing is Dover is the border. So that's where the sea is, and that's where the port is. So the port of Dover. The reason I say that is it's not a very big town, but it's a border town. So you want a 2-bedroom in Dover. Okay. But yeah. There's always traffic around there. People trying to go from one country to another. Okay. So you can get in Dover from about 700, 800, all the way to 900. There's not a lot of properties available. It's not your most popular destination for new arrivals. That's why I was talking a bit about what happens in Dover. But yeah, you want to budget anywhere from 700 to 900. The other place you wanted was Chatham. I will check that quickly for you. A 2-bedroom in Chatham is much more expensive. So you'd be looking at, beg your pardon, starts at 1,000 to about 1,314, 1,350 quite easily. 1,2, 1,350. There's 1 or 2 for 1,000. Which are probably just been reduced to attract people. But when you get there, they will ask you to pay more. Yeah, so Chatham is the more expensive postcode. Chatham is closer to London as well, has better transport links. There's trains from London to Dover as well, or Southeast London. So don't worry about Dover not being connected. It's well connected, but it's just a lot more further away. So transport will cost a little bit more. But it's cheaper. There's not a lot of properties there. In Chatham, I can say at the moment, there's about 10 or 15 properties. There's 15. In Dover, there's only 7 available now. So, you know, some areas we search, there's about 30, 40 properties, and people are still having problems renting there. When you only have 7 available properties, you know, it's a tougher area, you know. It's even 15, you just have 1 page of property. So there's not a lot in there. You say after the details, Dover is off my list. I mean, don't rule it out. It's cheaper, but there's not a lot there. Always traffic in that area because all the lorries that bring stuff from Europe or go on the ferry, vehicles, you know, Britain, UK is an island. So half of the things we eat, half of the things we do, it comes from other European countries. And with Brexit, there's been a lot of issues with crossing the border. It used to be smooth before because we were classed as one big country under the EU. Now, always in the news, you hear there's people in the hold up for 2 days, all these lorries, because the customs are checking their papers, which they didn't used to have to do before. You know, it's not my first choice, but it's cheaper. It's by the seaside. It's a nice, lovely town. Okay, so we'll take a few more on Instagram. Who have we got? Okay, not a lot. So we've got Ada Ugoma. Thank you for joining. Seems like the first time I've seen you here. You said they also collect extra deposit in case of damages and it's refundable. So I'm not too sure what that's in reference to, but yes, it might be Airbnb. We were talking about paying two weeks or one month, I think that's what you are referring to. Yes, definitely. Not all Airbnbs, but most of them will ask you for a security deposit. Booking.com, especially, those properties are more high profile than Airbnb. Airbnb, not all of them. Some will ask, some will not. Yes, and if you do any damage, they will not refund you. I had a couple who came the other day and they wanted me to find them an Airbnb, and they were not too sure because they were paying a lot of money to stay in Central London, Oxford Street. And they said, oh, please, can we meet you before we pay? So fortunately, I was available. And if you're in London, I can always meet you up in London. But sometimes people are in Manchester and say, oh, can I meet you? No, this is too expensive. I'm not jumping on the train to Manchester just to meet you. But if you're in London and I can manage it, I will normally try to see you. So I went to see them, and the Airbnb they were staying in, this man was just smoking cigarette after cigarette. I said, oh, guy, it's not a Nigerian hotel. You can't do this. They're going to charge you. And he didn't believe me. And they charged them quite a lot of money. So I was even quite worried. I said, if I book something for you on my name or under our company name, we don't want you going to smoke in there like that, please. It's not Nigeria. So we got Tobore Talks. For a family of 5, how many bedrooms can I rent? Tobore, thanks for joining the broadcast. I'm not sure if you are new here. What would be important in that situation is we would need to know the ages of the children and their gender. Now, this is normally what determines how many rooms you need. And it's a good point you brought up because I haven't spoken about this topic for a few weeks. We do speak about this quite a lot, but in the last few weeks, we have covered a lot of other things, so we haven't been on that. Now, you say a family of 5, so that's mom and dad have 1 bedroom. You've got 3 children in that case. Now, if your 3 children can share a room if they are under 10 years old, most landlords will not accept it because the rooms in UK are very small. So to pile 3 children in, but hypothetically, oh, sorry, that's my camera moving. Hypothetically, you can get 3 children under 10 in 1 room. They can have bunk beds, bunk beds and a single bed, if it's a big room. So yes, the very minimum would be 2 bedroom. That is hypothetically. But in reality, the minimum you would need is a 3 bedroom. 3 bedrooms would be the minimum you should be going for. In terms of gender and age, how it comes into play is after the age of 10, it's not a law, but it's just guidance, what they expect from you. Boys should not be sharing with girls once they pass the age of puberty. So if you've got a boy who is 12 and you've got 2 girls, 6 and 7, the boy will be expected to have his room, while the 2 younger girls can share. In the same reverse case, if you've got an older girl and 2 younger boys, they shouldn't be sharing. If all the children are the same gender, then even after 10, they can share. But most landlords will be reluctant to do that because the older child is getting to a point where he needs his own space. So it's just dependent on your landlord. But just as a rough guide, I would say aim for 3 bedroom if you can afford it. If you want to squeeze in a 2, all children will have to be under 10, regardless of gender. And if 1 or 2 is over 10, if they are the same gender, they can still share. If they're a different gender, probably not. So it's a bit tricky, but if you take the key points there, gender and age is what determines how many rooms you need. Okay, thank you for that question. Helps us revisit something we haven't spoken about for a while. So we've got I Am Exquisite. Hello, thank you for joining. Do you help with accommodation in or around Surrey? We help with accommodation all across the UK. We do not have properties in Surrey. We are not an estate agent, but we help you overcome the issues with renting. So that would be guarantor, that would be references, that would be searching. Some people would need help with searching. That would be putting together your property bid. All that sort of stuff is what we can help you with. So those are our services. Hello, Dennis. Are you still there? Hello. Duni Mama says, job well done. Thank you so much for joining. I appreciate the support. Thank you. If you have any questions, kindly put them in and we'll try our best to answer. We've got Yellowwin. You say, I am in need. I beg your pardon. I'm just trying to get something back up here. Yes, you say, I am in need of an apartment in Thames, Oxfordshire. Okay, that's fine. We can help with that. Send us a message with your, just send us a message saying that, and then we would give you more questions that we need to know. We need to know how many people will be living there, how many children you have, when do you need it for, are you already in the UK, do you have a guarantor? So there's a whole host of questions. I know people need apartments. Just telling me you need an apartment is not a lot of help. Everyone on this channel, I think, needs an apartment. So we need a lot more detail. If you want to know prices before you come so you can plan, send us a question. Tell us the size of accommodation you need and the location. And that's what we do this show for, to give you more information before you arrive. So yeah, definitely send us that, Yellowwin. Thank you for joining. We've got Jen Clade. When renting a place, how do you know if an area is safe? Checking the crime rate in an area. Okay, so you can check crime stats on the government website. And I'm going to try and put this on YouTube. Unfortunately, you've asked this on Instagram, so it's not easy to put on there. But it's a brilliant question, because we oftentimes get people saying, oh, I have heard this area has a lot of crime. What do you think about this? And similar sort of questions. So it's a really good question to ask. And I'm putting this on the screen on YouTube now. So if you want to know about the crime rate in a certain area, you go to crimerate.co.uk, and it's exactly that, one word, crime rate. So CRIMERATE, crimerate.co.uk. You type in the postcode of that area or the town, and then it will give you statistics. You can also compare cities on this website. So you can put in Luton and Bedford. I'm saying that for Funlola, because they always ask me about these two places to compare. I hope you're still there. You can put in two cities, and then it tells you the crime rates of both cities. So Jen Clade, that is a really brilliant question. Thank you for joining the cast, and that's how you can find out crime rates of various cities in the UK. So all UK loves statistics. So every record, everything that happens, they put it on there. So we got Mad TC. Thank you. Mad Tiva is also Tochile on YouTube. Okay, yes, now I remember you on YouTube, Tochile. Yes, thank you so much. Yes, thank you so much. Okay. So you say, thank you. We will keep in touch. Our travel date has been confirmed. Also to Chile. Okay, that's fine. Funlola, you say, so booking 10 days in temporary accommodation is a tall order. Well, I think you may need a bit more. I will be very honest with you. I always say nothing is impossible. I've seen 1 or 2 people do it in 2 weeks. That doesn't mean that's the vast majority. Most people need close to a month in temporary accommodation. We all want to save money, but the worst thing we want is you come and then you have to start relocating up and down. It is very frustrating. I had a lady who did that in, where did she move to? Barnsbury, yeah. Yeah, it was a nightmare, because she ended up needing about a month. She would book 10 days. When they run out, oh, Emmanuel, book another one. I would say, oh, they've taken the place. Book another 10 days. Book another, it got ridiculous. She was moving so much, paying so much for Uber. And then it defocused her search, because she would be searching in this area. All of a sudden, she's living somewhere else. She cannot get to the viewings. She's late. This Nigerian attitude of timing. I've said it on this channel before. If you get a property viewing, aim to be there 10 or 20 minutes before your viewing. The estate agents will not wait for you. And on top of not waiting for you, if you miss one viewing with them, most times they will not give you another viewing. There is too much competition. They will not beg you to turn up to the viewing. If you do not know your routes, map it out the day before. Don't just think, oh, I will leave at this time and I will surely make it there. check the times of the train. The good thing about the UK, the beautiful thing is there's a lot of information there. You can put the time you want to travel tomorrow. You can put everything in. It will map out your route. It will tell you the time you will get there. What time is this train? What time is that bus? Do not leave it to chance. Don't move like you move in Nigeria. Say, oh, I will just leave 30 minutes before I will make it. So many people have had potential homes that they could have gotten into. Maybe that was the house they would have gotten quick like that. And they turn up and it switches off the estate agent. Straight away, they are not interested in you because you've wasted their time. Time is so precious in the UK. Nobody has 10 minutes to dash you. You know, you will call your own brother or sister and say, please, I need you on this day. They say, no, I'm working. So everybody's time. And I have a theory around this. Because, you know, I call my friends in Nigeria and it's in the middle of the day and they are at work, but they will chat with you on the phone for 1 hour. And I was like, what job are you doing that you can be on the phone this long? In the UK, everybody is paid per hour. Most people are paid per hour. The value of time, it has a monetary figure on it. So if someone is going to give you 1 hour of the day, he can actually tell you what the value, that's £20 there, that's £30 that person earns per hour. So nobody has time to just be wasting. And you say, oh, sorry, I'm new to the town, I miss my, they're not listening to you again. That's it. That estate agent will just cut you off. I've seen it happen more than 5 times. Please, if you get a viewing, plan yourself well, get there on time. I know it's very easy to get lost. Is it? You know, this is the most common thing I have when people I'm working with them and they say, oh, well, I'm lost. Oh, I don't know where I am. I've entered the wrong train, this and that. Plan it out before. Plan. You know, you'll get rewarded so much for planning things out. So, Funalafa, sorry, I've gone off on a tangent, but it will be hard. And you've come back with how long will you be in Lagos during your West African tour? I'm in Lagos for 3 days before we set off from Benin Republic. And then we are away for about 17 days. And then I come back to Lagos for another 3 or 4 days. And then I'm back to England. So majority of my time in West Africa, I'm not actually in Nigeria. I will be in other countries, but hey, I know Nigeria. I don't know these other countries. I will be back in Nigeria in a few months anyway, so I don't feel like I'm missing much. And I do tend to get bored very easily. I go on holiday to Nigeria and I'm so excited. I get there and then the first few days we go out, we go to the nice restaurants, we go clubbing. And then I'm like, what's next? I've seen all the good places. What's happening? So I haven't allotted myself a lot of time in Nigeria this time just because it does get boring quite quickly. And that's the same thing I'm doing in every country. I'm not staying too long. It's 2 days, 3 days in Ghana, 4 days here. We're trying to keep it fun-filled. As soon as you get there, you're taking all the best things. It's the same here. You go on holiday to Spain, you book 1 week, and after 2 days, you're fed up because you've seen all the good things. You've eaten the food. It's like, what's next? I'm just going to sit down on the beach and under the sun. No, you want something more exciting. So we're keeping it fresh, keeping it exciting. It's fast-paced, but we try and cram in as much as possible. So, yeah, that's about my travels. Akwete Junior. That sounds Ghanaian. Akwete Junior. Thanks for joining. Do I still need referencing if I use your company service or guarantor? Everybody needs referencing. Guarantor is one part of referencing, so we're helping you complete that part. That's what we do. So everybody needs referencing, but there are bits of the referencing because you just came from Nigeria, you will not be able to meet up. So we help you with those bits so that you can do referencing. Nobody gets exempted from referencing unless you find a personal landlord that just wants to give you a house. But for them, they will not risk it. Number one, for their insurance. If they give you the house and you don't pay, their insurance doesn't cover them. If they give you the house and they don't do referencing and something goes wrong, they are not covered by insurance. There's so many things that can go wrong for the landlord without doing referencing. Why will they risk it? This is the thing. They don't love you. They don't know you from anybody. Why would they not check you? Referencing means they are checking you deeply to know that what you are saying is true, to know that you can afford this property, and to know that there is a backup plan if things go wrong. That's what referencing is. It's just them checking you. And that's what I tell people. It's different from Nigeria. You turn up, you say, oh, I work for EFCC, or I work for MTN, or I work for this bank, I work for Globus. And then they will say, okay, sign the paper, show us ID card. take, the house is yours. You can pay 2 years, pay 1 year. Doesn't happen here. Here they check you intensely to make sure what you're saying is the truth, to make sure they have a backup plan if you can't pay, and to make sure they can check your history. So nobody gets away from referencing. Not even us can help you. I wish I could do that and you don't pay referencing. That would be lovely. Okay, Ibe. Hello. Thank you for joining. As someone we helped with their property search, so she's tuned in as well. So yeah. Tammy's Kiddies Wholesales. Please, can you help throw more lights on Middlesbrough compared to Newcastle? Middlesbrough is a smaller town. I've spoken about this on the show in the last few weeks. There's not a lot of jobs in Middlesbrough. So if the housing is very cheap, but there's not a lot of work there. So we're trying to recommend to people, I'm not discouraging anyone. If you want to go to University of Teesside and that's the cheaper option for you, I mean, brilliant, but you will struggle to get a job in Middlesbrough. Newcastle is much bigger. It's a bigger city. There's a lot more access to stuff. And you might just find that when you are in Sunderland or Middlesbrough, you might find that the nearest place you can get a job is in Newcastle. So, yes, it's not too far from Sunderland. It's a bit further to Middlesbrough. It's a lot further from Newcastle to Middlesbrough. Let's even check how long that would take in terms of transport and what transport options are available. Because this is a question I get a lot. I am aware fully of what's happening. Middlesbrough is a very cheap university, so we have a lot of people choosing that university from Nigeria. It's about 50 minutes to drive. If you take a train, it's about 1 hour by train, and you can take bus as well. Mega bus. So it's like going from one city to another. It's about 1 hour and 10 minutes by bus or train. So you might find you have to go all the way to Newcastle to find a job. But there are some jobs in Middlesbrough, don't get me wrong. It's just there's not as many opportunities. So I hope that comparison helps. I mean, there's not much I can add to that, but a lot of people are choosing that uni. Oh, Gina TV, have I missed one question? You said between Newcastle and Leeds, where has more opportunities? They are similar size cities, so I wouldn't say one is much bigger than the other. You know, let's just have a quick look for you. They are quite similar size, so I would advise people to go from a smaller place, and I will tell them the bigger place that's near there. That sort of thing. Well, I'm just checking just to be sure before I start giving out wrong information. Which is bigger? Okay, so Newcastle is a lot is not as big as Leeds. Leeds is the bigger city, so. In terms of opportunities, the bigger cities always have the more opportunities. So if you have an opportunity to go to Leeds, I think Leeds would be a better option for you. They're both in the north of England, so it's not economically the busiest region. It's probably the slowest part of England. You know. So yeah, Leeds is above Manchester. And Newcastle is a lot further north. So Leeds will be a better option. You're closer to Manchester. You're close to Sheffield, York. So you have all these other surrounding towns. Newcastle is the biggest conurbation where it is, surrounded by Sunderland, you know, a bit distant, but you've got a few other, Durham, Hartlepool, and Middlesbrough there, Darlington. If it was me choosing, Gina TV, I would go for Leeds. More opportunities. I would definitely say Leeds over Newcastle, but Newcastle is not bad either, and it's cheaper rent. So, it all depends. Full love laugh. You're laughing at what I said last. I'm not there for too long, and yeah, I think we spoke about the 10 days in Airbnb. Okay. The real Ayomikun, how is job in Leeds and how is Leeds generally? I think I just spoke about that 2 minutes ago. So Leeds is good opportunities, good Nigerian community. It's a big city. If you have the opportunity to go to Leeds, I would say take it. So yes, that's the end of the questions. I'm going to try and end the show a bit earlier than usual today. We do tend to go on for 2 hours, but we're ending it a bit earlier this week. So we've got a few more minutes left. If anyone has any last questions you want to pop in, I'll take those before I leave. But yeah, it's been another interesting one. Your questions always open up so much other answers, which other discussions, which are really good to get into. But yeah, definitely. So there's nothing else coming in. There's nothing else coming in at the moment. So if you are with us on the show still and you're looking to share temporary accommodation, we've got the Telegram group. The links are on our bio. Try and search in there first of all as one option. You might find someone to share Airbnb with for a few weeks, and that lightens the load. And then you find your permanent accommodation by yourself. There's nothing wrong with sharing. There's a long history of people sharing accommodation in the UK, because it is expensive, even for people that live and work here already. So if you are searching for a property, if you know where you want to search, if you've got questions around pricing, always send us a DM. You can also send questions in the group. But if it's a property request for a private one, just send us a DM. There's no need putting it in the group because the whole world doesn't need to know about your property search. That group has been set up for people to talk to each other and try and see if they can share where possible. 2 smaller families taking a big property, because you only need to look at the price scales to see why that is reasonable. A 4-bedroom might be £2,000 and a 2-bedroom might be 1,300, 400, 500. There's 2 bedrooms of 1.5. So it's only £500 difference. So if 2 people split it, it is a lighter load on everybody. Funlola says, getting scary by the week. I promise you'll be all right when you come, not to worry. My intention is not to scare people, but it's just to give you enough information so that when you land, nothing shocks you. Because you don't want to come in a situation and then it's like, nobody told me this, so I didn't know it would be this difficult. I feel like if people are more informed, then they are better equipped. They take steps and they eliminate. And I've seen that a lot in the last month or two. People who have followed me for their journey and started listening to me for a month or two before coming and taking the steps we've said, they've had a much easier transit compared to people who came September last year or December last year, where they were not very informed. So I feel like we are cutting across. We are getting the message out there. I wouldn't say there's anything to be scared about. It's a tough one. Coming over is tough. And like I started the show today, we posted the property yesterday, and I've had so many comments on that thread. The recurring theme is young people saying, "Oh, there's no space in here for jiggy activities. It's so small. It looks tiny." And I'm like, "Oh, so that's what you're thinking about?" There's people who are homeless paying £200 per night. They just need to get somewhere to stay. Nobody's thinking of all these things you're thinking because it's not Nigeria. So getting people's mind is paramount to us, getting them ready, getting them in the right time frame. So we got 2 minutes left. I've got one coming from Lillian, so we'll just answer that quickly before we go. What area in the surrounding cities of London have a good Nigerian community? Oh, everywhere. If you look at London like a clock, everywhere around London, there are good Nigerian communities, because historically, before the jackpotting of last year and 2 years, most people just come to London and surrounding. That's what has happened for 20, 40 years. It's only in the last sort of 10 years, people started going up north because of prices in London. Everyone likes to stay with their people. So there's a big Nigerian community in London. There's Nigerian shops that sell ashoke. There's there's Nigerian tailors everywhere, Nigerian barbers. So that's what attracts people. But as these other cities have grown, people have moved there. But if you say surrounding the counties, we call them counties. This is what we call bigger areas. So the county of Kent, Essex, Hertfordshire, those are the immediate areas around London, and all of them have a massive Nigerian population. So Kent, you have Dartford there, lots of Nigerians living there. Essex, you have Ilford, you have so many, like, honestly, I wouldn't be able to list it. So it's not one to, anywhere you look at around these areas, you are fine. You are covered. Okay, so I wouldn't think that there's any part around London, especially the cheaper areas, because the more expensive areas in the surrounding parts of London are towards the west. So Sussex and that sort of thing is for millionaires. You won't get enough Nigerians there, but then the price will keep you out of there. But anywhere where it's reasonably priced, there are good Nigerian communities. Okay. So we're going to end the broadcast now. Thank you so much for everyone for joining. It's been a brilliant one as usual. Send us a message in the week if you have any further questions. Join the Telegram group. The link is on the bio if you intend to share. Hope you all have a great public holiday tomorrow, and it's bank holiday here. That's another one I just found out yesterday. When I told my Nigerian friend it's bank holiday, what's bank holiday? It's the same thing. It's public holiday. We call it bank holiday because banks are not working. Same thing as Mayday. So have a brilliant weekend, everyone. Take care, and I will see you next week Sunday. Cheers. Bye. Goodbye.